You're listening to the Property Nomads podcast, your one-stop shop for property, business and travel-related content, tying it all together to help guide you towards success. If you like the podcast, please share with others, subscribe and leave us a review. So get your gear together and let's get going.
Just before we get started with today's episode, just a quick thank you to those that have reached out. Given everything in the last sort of month or two, it's been challenging to say the least. It's been good fun. Combine that with a big bout of illness, which wasn't pleasing. Just a big thank you to those that have reached out, given the recent diagnosis about being on the autistic spectrum. Really means a lot to me that you've reached out, so thank you. My way of returning sincere and absolute gratitude is by writing. I like writing. So I am working on another book, as I mentioned before, and hopefully, in due course, keep listening to the podcast. I'll announce more bits and pieces as we go along. So just before we get started with today's episode, just a massive thank you. Really does mean a lot to me, and I look forward to being able to add even more value to you moving forward. Top 5 books you should read and listen to. Given the markets at the moment, everything's skew with COVID-19 and all of that mumbo jumbo. There's always opportunities. As Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Really good line. So definitely worth writing that down somewhere, putting that on your wall, putting it on your phone. Because there's a lot of panic at the moment. There's a lot of mass panic. A lot of people speaking to people. A lot of people are bored. Too much spare time on their hands. It's amazing when sort of your day job gets taken away, or even you decide to sit on your hands and do nothing. But there's always opportunities. It's no different in property, it's no different in the world. There are many opportunities at the moment, and it provides a good opportunity to listen to more podcasts, to listen to more books, to read more books. Stuff you should be doing anyway, but people have got more time to do it. So there's a couple of extra long books on here, but there's books that I definitely recommend. These are ones that I've read very recently, read or listened to very recently. I didn't listen to all 5 at the same time. I've done it one at a time. So in no particular order, given everything at the moment, Mastering the Market Cycle by Howard Marks. Definitely give that a read. That is about working out what's going to happen when. That can be quite challenging, but there are definite signs that you can follow, and Howard goes through that in the book. On Audible, it's about 8 hours long, I think. Really enjoyed listening to that. I've listened to that a couple of times. Go and check it out. A couple of books by a guy called James Rickards. Now, James Rickards is an American lawyer, speaker, gold speculator, and he authors on matters of finance and precious metals. He's incredibly intelligent, also co-hosts or a podcast called The Gold Chronicles. Go and check that out as well. 2 books here from him. Number 1 is Currency Wars, and the second one is The Big Drop, How to Grow Your Wealth During the Coming Collapse. They could argue at the moment, is the world collapsing, is the economy collapsing? It's all in limbo at the moment. It certainly doesn't make great reading for people. But as we just mentioned, there's always opportunities, and when other people are being fearful, now is the time to take advantage of the opportunities. If you listen to both of these books, read both of these books, especially The Big Drop, that will help you to educate you even further to understand that there are many ways to grow your wealth when everything around you seems like it's crumbling. Most of it focuses on precious metals, as they are a finite resource. But there are other really good gold nuggets in the book, no pun intended. And Currency Wars is very similar. Because of James's background, he's looking at what is the purpose of currency at the moment? Where is currency going? What's happening? Who, macroeconomically, which country's doing what? And all of that is absolutely phenomenal. Currency Wars was written in 2011, The Big Drop in 2015. I could have been cheeky and done a whole episode dedicated to James Rickards' books. I've listened to them all and they're all brilliant, but these are probably my favourite 2, but also the 2 most appropriate ones as well. Number 4, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. This is all about the Federal Reserve. This is all about how the Federal Reserve really controls the world, and how there are just a few select families here and there that have unbelievable wielding power that we're probably never going to know about. There's a lot of the conspiracy theorist in me. I believe there's a lot of dark forces working on in the background. I'm very sceptical that the world is not as it seems. We're fed a lot of garbage through the media, and there are just things going on that we're just not aware about. So the sceptical part of me really believes and loves The Creature from Jekyll Island. I'm taking it literally. I thought it was a fantastic book. On Audible, it is 24 hours long. It is a very long book. But given the time, most people have got a lot more time at the moment. So I definitely recommend giving it a listen to, especially when it goes into the history of it touches on the history a little bit of warfare, how, for example, they had to, supposedly certain banks, certain people incited the Napoleonic Wars because they needed to create economic warfare with Napoleon back in the day. Napoleon was that good an economist that he ended up leaving France with an economic surplus. If you're left with an economic surplus, the banks don't need to lend money if the leader doesn't require money or people don't require money. And if you're not lending money, you're not making money. So again, just spinning everything on its head. I love the concept of this book. That's why there's so much time on this particular podcast episode dedicated to it. The Creature from Jekyll Island, just give it a read, give it a listen, highly recommend it. Then the last one is Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. This book's really intriguing. It goes against the grain of macroeconomics as such, but what it does look at the very pragmatic geography that countries have around the world. Now, although he doesn't touch on every single country, he does go across all 7 continents. I do think Antarctica is mentioned in there all somewhat briefly. The best example I could think of that I can remember is China and India. If you look at these two powerhouses of world economics, specialising different things, give or take 2.8 billion people between them. But if you look at the geography of where they're situated, what Tim goes into is, they've never had a proper war. Well, why is that? There's a massive mountain range in the middle called the Himalayas. What Tim is saying is, because of that geography, you try and get tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people into the borders of one another, it's going to be very challenging. You've got a very, very high mountain range in the way. So it's little things like that. How Tim pieces a book together is fascinating. It makes us think about things completely differently. Also explains quite a bit about Britain. A question that sometimes you get is, well, what does it mean to be British? One of the worst questions you could ever give someone from the British Isles. But the fact that we're an island nation, and our geography is fantastic. We've got some really rough seas up north. You've got the English Channel, which is a very narrow strait. I think there's only 17 miles between Dover and Calais in France. And he's saying that the UK, or the British Isles and so forth, has been really helped by its geography, although it does hinder it in some respects. It's a bit of a curveball there. It's not necessarily property or business related. Being a bit of a history and geography person myself, I just think it's a different perspective. This book provides a different perspective. I definitely recommend it. So just in summary, top 5 books you should read or listen to now. Number 1, Mastering the Market Cycle by Howard Marks. Number 2, Currency Wars by James Rickards. Number 3, The Big Drop, How to Grow Your Wealth During the Coming Collapse, again by James Rickards. Number 4, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. And number 5, Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall. There'll be links to the books in the show notes. Go and grab it off Amazon. Amazon's still delivering. They're out and about. If you've got an Audible account, anything like that, definitely recommend to give them a listen to if you prefer listening to books. And again, all that will be in the show notes. So once again, thank you for everyone that's been in touch. It really means a lot to me. I'm working on a few things in the background. I'll keep you posted on the podcast. Some really cool stuff coming up as well. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen.